15 years ago, I walked into the emergency room having my first heart attack. Since that day, I've built the tools to overcome anxiety, and it's my life's mission to make sure that you're able to overcome anxiety and dominate in business and in life. Today you're going to learn all the tools in my toolbox that will help you be stress and anxiety free forever. Because not only did I have one, but I actually had 2 heart attacks. Well, what I thought were heart attacks, but they were anxiety attacks that sent me to the emergency room. Those were the lowest days of my life. But the good news is that if I can overcome it, you can too. You see, back in the day, I was a broke, struggling, introverted, socially anxious, binge-drinking personal trainer who wasn't happy where he was in life. The reason why I'm so passionate about this is because so many people are dealing with anxiety. The New York Times said that 40 million Americans, that's 10% of the population, struggled with anxiety. And that was before COVID and being in lockdown. So what I dedicated my life to is helping you. And what's the first step in overcoming anxiety? Well, it's figuring out what causes anxiety and getting rid of those elements. It can be everything from alcohol abuse, it could be too much caffeine, it could be that FOMO, it could be too much social media, it could be bullying, it could be fear of not doing well enough in your career or in school. It can be the struggles of having to be part of the sandwich generation where you deal with your kids and then you deal with your parents. And women are starting to deal with this so much more because of that factor. So what is it that can also contribute to anxiety? You can have too many negative people, too many toxic environments. So let's break down the factors that caused me to have my anxiety. First of all, I was naturally socially anxious. I was naturally introverted. I kept so many thoughts in my head. I never used journaling. I didn't use meditation. I didn't use therapy. I didn't use any of those things that were incredible outlets. Now, here's an interesting fact, is that I was actually in the best shape of my life when I had my anxiety attacks. I was 190 pounds, 9% body fat, ripped 6-pack abs, and yet I still struggled with anxiety. So it's not just for people that are out of shape, it's for anybody, and that's the problem. Now, another problem with anxiety is that it's like having a black box. People can't understand what it's like for you to go through it. It's not like having a broken ankle or a broken arm where everybody knows and understands what it's like to have that type of injury. Or even with cancer, people understand what it is, but anxiety, they can't understand the feeling. And you might feel really alone. You might feel ostracized. You might feel like people don't understand you. You might feel that people are making fun of you and just telling you like, oh, come on, cheer up, or it's gonna be okay. None of those words really work. So one of my famous phrases is action beats anxiety, motion beats meditation, and work beats worry. And what that means is getting out and doing is so much better than sitting on the couch and stewing. If you sit there and you just think about how bad things are and how things are gonna get worse, well, listen, what's gonna happen is that your mind is gonna race, your anxiety engine is gonna rev, and your wheels are gonna spin. And that only makes things worse in every aspect of your life. So if you keep the thoughts collected in your head and you keep that worry there, that's not going to help. What you need to do is get it out. There's a million ways that you can get things out of your head. You can journal. You can go to therapy. I highly recommend it. I've done it before, whether it's EMDR therapy, whether it's talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, all of those things that help. Plus, I also used writing my book, Unstoppable, my entire toolbox for overcoming anxiety. Just by doing that was like a version of therapy that helped me. Talking to your friends, talking to positive people. Obviously, you don't want to talk to negative people who are going to give you a hard time, who don't believe in you, who, again, ostracize you. That's not what you want to do there. But getting all the thoughts out of your head, brain dumping exercises that we teach in our gratitude journal, all of those will be so much more helpful than keeping all the junk and clutter in your head. One of the experts that I read once said that the mind is a horrible place to keep all of your thoughts because it gets cluttered up. And the more cluttered up you are, the more anxious you will become over time. It's just this vicious cycle of never being able to escape the stress that's causing all of this in the first place. So we go back to when I was 30 years old and had that first anxiety attack. It was around Christmas time. And I had been drinking at night a lot with work people and clients, and then getting up early in the morning to continue to work with clients. And I was just burning the candle at both ends. And finally on New Year's Eve, even though I was exhausted and should have stayed in, I went out for one more party. And then on January 1st, I woke up and my heart started to jackhammer. It was the worst feeling ever. I had tingles from the top of my head down to the end of my fingertips. My chest tightened and I couldn't breathe. And I really thought I was having a heart attack. Fortunately, that first time, after I went to the emergency room, I was able to overcome it. I did some yoga classes and I thought I was cured, but in the end I wasn't. And 3 months later, I had another heart attack, but this one lasted 6 weeks. That's right, 6 straight weeks. I could barely sleep at night. And again, I had all of those physical symptoms. I was super embarrassed and I tried to just hold it off and fight it off. And I thought, oh, I'll try a little bit of yoga. Didn't help. I tried a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and slowly but surely they chipped away. But finally one day I just gave up. I was training a client when I was still a personal trainer, and he was 5'3", 310 pounds. He was an overweight, stressed out lawyer, and I asked him to take me to the emergency room. That, if I had to pick a lowest point in my life, that was absolutely it. So I go to the emergency room. They give me a heart rate monitor. They say, bring this back in 24 hours. I did. After 24 hours, they said, we'll call you if there's anything to worry about. And I watched the clock tick. And I waited and waited and waited and waited. And when 24 hours had finally been up, I realized, oh my gosh, I might be okay. And then I started reading this book called Panic Away. And on chapter 2, the first 5 words say, there's nothing wrong with you. And as soon as I read those words, I was almost cured. I was almost cured, and I never actually had anxiety ever again, and I never read the rest of that book. But I'll tell you what, it gave me the tools. All of those things that helped me chip away at it, the yoga, the meditation, the qigong, the breathing exercises, the journaling, the talking to friends, the Action Beats Anxiety motto, all of those things contributed in a little way, so that now I have 100 tools in my toolbox, all contribute 1% to get me out of anxiety. Well, you know what? There was one other thing that helped me get through it. This is Daisy, my yellow lab. She's about 2 years old. But back in the day, when I had that anxiety, I read that getting a dog helped you reduce anxiety and depression. You know, petting the dog really, really helped. So I thought, okay, here I was in the middle of my anxiety attack. I'm gonna go and get a dog. So I went and got this chocolate lab named Bally the dog. And you know, Bally, when I got him back to the house after getting him at the breeder, well, he was a little bit stubborn. He didn't want to go for a walk. So I thought, okay, well, that's unfortunate. That's one of the reasons why I got him. But you know, the next day I took him to the park and I thought, okay, he'll play fetch. He's a chocolate lab, a Labrador retriever, keyword retriever. I threw the ball, he didn't want to do it. I was getting a little frustrated. On the third day, I had to go to a meeting. So I left the little doggy at home in the crate. I came back and there were all these nasty notes on the door saying, oh, we're gonna get you kicked out of the condo building if you don't shut your dog up. And I realized he had separation anxiety and I had bought the dog version of me. Now, of course, those first 6 weeks were actually added to my anxiety, but eventually having the dog, having someone to talk to, learning about unconditional love from that little pooch was one of the things that helped me finally overcome the anxiety. All right, so now let's turn it over to you. Where are you in your life? What are the negative impacts and influences that are causing you to be stressed out and anxious? Are you fearful of the future? Well, do some journaling about what the fears are that you have. Do you hang around negative people? Are you in toxic environments? Do you have bad habits like drugs, alcohol, too much caffeine? You eat too much bad food? You play video games all the time, you're addicted to screens, you're addicted to your cell phone, you're addicted to social media. All of those things are compounding and compiling stress on you. And if you're like me with that natural tendency to be anxious in life, then all of those things are going to cause you to just finally one day snap and have that anxiety attack. And I don't want that to happen to you. I know what it's like to be truly free from anxiety, and I know that you can be too. So here's what you need to do. You need to, 1, get everything out of your head. Whether through therapy, whether through journaling, whether through talking to friends, you just need to get it all out. The second thing you need to do is replace all of those bad habits with good habits, all of the bad people with good people, the people who want to see you successful in life. And then you need to add gratitude, meditation, those mindfulness exercises that help you slow down. And then finally, you need to make sure that you're breathing properly. Learning how to breathe properly was one of the most important changes that I made. When we're hunched over our computers and our phones, that causes us to breathe short, shallow breaths. And when we do short, shallow breaths, we end up almost hyperventilating. And that increases adrenaline in the body, much like tobacco, cocaine, caffeine, all of those things that, like drinking a huge Monster, all of those increase adrenaline, and adrenaline is a contributor to anxious feelings. So when we have that short, shallow breathing, that's the worst type of breathing that we can do. It actually makes things worse for us. What we need to do is to learn how to do the type of breathing that you learn in meditation and yoga and Qigong. That big, deep inhalation through your nose, fill up your belly like a Buddha, and then slowly exhale. In fact, I want to give you one of my favorite breathing techniques. It is a 4-second inhale, 7-second hold, and then an 8-second exhale. It's really, really slow. And I learned it from Dr. Andrew Weil. And I'll tell you what, if you do 4 rounds of that, you'll be totally calmed down. If you do 8 rounds of that, you might even fall asleep. It's that powerful. It's really incredible. And if you did nothing else other than a 4-second inhale and a 6-second exhale the next time you're stuck in traffic, it's going to be a game changer for your anxiety. So those are the little things that you can do to hack away at the anxiety. But there's one last thing I want to share with you. Because you see, with all of those habits in place, there still might be one thing that causes you to become anxious over time. And that's when you're not acting in alignment with your vision and your goals. And so when I work with entrepreneurs, they come to these workshops with me and they want to learn how to make more money and have more free time. Well, we don't start at the day-to-day. Instead, we start at this really high level where we help them build out their vision. Because for most people, they have a picture in their mind of where they want to be, but when you actually look at their actions in life, if their vision is this way, most people's actions take them in the opposite direction. And that means they're misaligned. And when you're misaligned, it's going to cause a lot of stress and anxiety in your gut. And so what I do is I help them align that vision with their goals and their actions so that they become more successful and less stressful. And when they finally put the last piece in, which is accountability, the last piece of success, being accountable to somebody that you deeply do not want to disappoint, so you stay true to those actions and stay in alignment, will keep anxiety away forever. So my friend, listen, it is my life's mission to help everyone overcome anxiety, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. So I want to know from you in the comments below, how did this help? What's the number one thing that you're going to take away and add to your life so that you can be less stressful and more successful? You can also hit me up on Instagram, just look me up there. But if you are an entrepreneur and you want to know how to not only overcome anxiety, but dominate in business and in life, then reach me at craigballantyne.com. Fill out the application there to work with me, and we'll take your business to the next level. You'll have more success and less stress and never feel anxious again.